Hi, everybody. My name is Sabrina Medora, and I am the founder of Unplated. I am here today with chefs Margaret and Vinod of Thattu, Chicago. Hi, Margaret and Vinod. It's nice to have you on board here.
Hi. Hey, Sabrina, it's so great to be here. See you.
Thank you. So Margaret and Vinod are going to be sharing one of their fantastic recipes from Thattu restaurant. It is a Kerala chicken biryani. We're very excited to kind of learn the tips and tricks of how this wonderful dish is made. So Chef Vinod, can you tell us a little bit more about Kerala chicken biryani and the cultural significance of the dish in Kerala?
Yeah, I would actually narrow it down a little bit more to Malabar chicken biryani, because within Kerala there's like different regions. There's the northern part, which is the Malabar region, and then you have central and the southern part. The northern part is it's a high Muslim population, and that's where the biryani is very famous. So this biryani is really the northern Kerala biryani. And if you go to the southern Kerala region, it's very different biryani. It's not as well known there. Um, and I think the big difference you will see in the biryani between rest of the India versus the Malabar biryani is that there's a lot of cilantro and mint that goes into while cooking the chicken, and it gives a completely different fragrance to the biryani um, compared to the other biryanis that are there. And the way it is also cooked, we don't use saffron or any of those things that typically goes into biryani to make the color of the rice yellow. It's just the color from the chicken curry that goes into the biryani that gives the color. So it's different in aroma, and it's different in the taste that way.
Excellent. That sounds fantastic. And so, Margaret, tell us a little bit about how we're going to be assembling this dish and how it's easy for home cooks.
Sure. So for chicken biryani, this is a layered rice and chicken curry per se. So we'll do this in a few stages. First, we'll make our spice blend, prepare/cook our rice, and then I'll show like the cook down process of preparing before you cook the chicken. So that involves like cooking down onions with some spices, aromatics, going through that process, and then finishing it off with combining this final cooked chicken with layers of rice and layering that up and putting that all together to bake in a cast iron.
Excellent. Let's get started. Let's see what step one is all about.
All right. So like I said, this is we'll start with the spice blend. And this is something that you can dry roast, and you can kind of see this. I'll bring this up closer. And this is the biryani garam masala per se. So we're going to take our cinnamon, cardamom. This is mace. This is the most unique ingredient that's not as widely used. It's like the outer shell for nutmeg.
Yeah.
And coriander seeds, cumin, and my favorite, cloves and anise seed as well.
So combining all of those spices together makes the garam masala for the biryani?
Correct.
Okay. And for those who aren't aware, the word garam means hot, and masala is just a version of spice mix. So basically it's a hot spice mix.
Right. Yes. So this is something, dry roast it. I've already done that, but I just want to show you like the grinding process that I go through, because one of the things is I like it to be pretty fine, but slightly coarse, if that makes sense. And so
not a total powder.
Yes. So
and why is that important to not have it be a finely ground powder like most spice mixes are?
So in this case, more to get the different nuances of the different flavors. I mean, they're just, as it's cooking down, oh goodness. Just a moment. The coarseness, truly to, how do I say?
Is it to like differentiate the flavors so that it's not all one?
Truly, yes. So as you take different bites, you get different spices throughout.
I see. Great.
So.
And so I don't have a spice grinder at home. That's one of the appliances I don't actually have, but in a pinch, is it all right if viewers and readers, purchase a garam masala just all together already made at the store?
Absolutely. There are different components though for this particular.
Yeah, the flavors will be different. That's another thing where, if you purchase a garam masala from a store, every single brand will have a different makeup of what goes into the garam masala, because garam masala is a very generic term.
Right.
So yes, you can, but it'll be slightly different in flavor.
I see. So for those of you who want to make it very traditional and authentic, like Chefs Vinod and Margaret, we do have the recipe on www.unplated.com and also on our Pinterest account.
Pinterest, way to go. So as we're just finishing this up, I'm going to get the oil hot.
Okay.
Because that's going to be very important to get us started. But you can kind of see the coarseness to this. I don't know if you can see that.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Perfect.
Okay. So I am using half ghee and half canola oil. Sometimes I like to use all ghee, but it's just for health reasons, I like to do half and half.
Ghee makes everything taste so much better.
100%.
Anything.
Yes.
My husband hates kale, but when I saute kale in ghee, it's like a whole new world. Actually, I probably shouldn't say that. He probably still hated it, but I think kale sauteed in ghee is a whole new world.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And ghee, for those who aren't familiar, is just a type of clarified butter that is very commonly used in Indian cooking.
Yes, it's nutty in flavor. So what's going to happen is that I will, as the onion's heating, what I will add to that will be what I've already cut up: garlic, ginger, and some chili. You can use serrano chili, that's what we usually use. And once that cooks down, I do add some poppy seeds and then let that process for a while.
Now, Vinod, is the poppy seed a traditional part of the Kerala chicken biryani or the Malabar chicken biryani?
Yeah, it is. And because our biryani really came from Persia.
Right.
And even for the Mughal Empire, the Arabs used to come to Kerala too, because black pepper originated in Kerala. So that was the spice route. And that's where we got a lot of the biryani. So poppy seeds obviously did not originate in Kerala, but we got it from somewhere else. This whole, and it was adapted to what we have. We had a lot of cilantro and mint there, and we changed the flavors there.
Yeah. Kerala is a state in India. And I have to say, I grew up in India, and so I visited Kerala with my family, and it's so unbelievably lush. Yes. I mean, the greenery everywhere, it just, you feel like you're on a whole new world in terms of tropical island. There's so much greenery. And Kerala, correct me if I'm wrong, is very well known for tea as well, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Kerala is known for tea and spices.
Right. So really, this is perfect in terms of the spices.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Margaret, you just put some onions into the oil.
Yes.
Yeah. I can move the camera over there because now all the action is going to be over there.
Okay. And would you guys say that, kind of like in New Orleans cooking, the Holy Trinity, is peppers and celery, and I'm forgetting the third one now, is it carrots? Would you say that the Indian Holy Trinity is ginger, garlic, and masala?
I don't know about that. I think in Kerala, the Holy Trinity is coconut, curry leaves, and black pepper.
Right. Coconut, curry leaves, and black pepper. That's definitely true. We use coconut in a lot of our curries.
I mean, the per capita consumption there is half a coconut per person a day.
One more time?
So,
People, the per capita consumption of coconut is half a coconut a person a day.
Oh, wow.
So,
Not per person per
and you
day.
can use like all of the coconut from the husk all the way to the inside. Sabrina, I was gonna say with just cooking down half of the onions, we started off with about like half a kilo. I used half of the first onions for the garnish, and I already cooked that down.
Okay.
This is what we're gonna be our final product.
So the garnish is crispy onions.
Yes, crispy onions with cashews and raisins.
Got it.
And so this I like to do before I do all this cook down because I can just reuse the same pot. So that's what I've already cooked down. And so this is like the second half of all the onions that I cut. And I'm just gonna cook these down. But once that's well cooked, I'm gonna switch this out. So I want you to see how much I cook it for.
And when you're putting the onions on the oil, should the oil be kind of like sputtering hot or?
Yes. So the minute the onion hits the oil, it should be sputtering.
Okay.
But for this biryani, I would say though, I do like to really cook it down, which is why I did this ahead of time. But really, almost
15, 20 minutes?
15 minutes on a low to medium heat. And so to the point where the oil starts separating.
So basically we're looking to caramelize the onions.
Yes.
Okay. Are we looking to make them ultimately very crispy, or are we just going more for a caramelization?
More for caramelization for the chicken.
I see. Okay. And crispy for the garnish.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. And so as this is getting more separated, this is when I add all of those aromatics that I mentioned. And then this is the ginger, garlic, and the green chili. Okay. And then this is where I do want it to cook a little bit longer to prepare that to bring in all of the spices that we just ground up. So all those spices will really bloom in the oil within this.
Right.
And then, let me just tell you where that's at. Let's get a little closer. I'll give it a few minutes, or just a few moments.
I can almost smell the aromatics and I'm not even there.
I need to get something. Okay. Gosh. All right. Now that spice mix we made, this is where I add about a teaspoon and a half. A little bit of spice. And this is that part where I really love the smell of all of the caramelized onions, with those aromatics and all the spices coming together.
Right. And would you recommend for those who are cooking at home, should they use a Dutch oven for the biryani, or will a regular sort of, you know, big pot do as well?
I do recommend Dutch oven for that really like consistent heating.
Okay.
Of course, if it's not available, you could use a pot as well. But the fact, what's going to happen is that we're going to use the same pot and layer it with rice and then put it in the oven.
I see. So it needs to be an oven-safe an oven-safe pot.
Yes.
No matter what you use.
Ultimately, oven safe and like easy to fit into your oven, your oven situation.
Now, is that more ginger garlic in your hand?
No, so this is going to be the poppy seeds.
Oh, the poppy seeds. Okay.
Yes.
This is the first time that I've heard of poppy seeds in biryani, so I'm very intrigued by this.
It's just a slight bit, it's about a teaspoon.
And while all of this cooking is going on, what should people preheat their ovens to?
Great question. So preheat to 375.
375.
And make sure that your rice is ready. In fact, I started my basmati rice before we started because it took about to cook, but also cool down. And I'm a home cook too, so I did use my Instapot. So my pressure has been released, so it is time for me to open it. So just check on your rice. Pop it, look at it, taste it.
Set some aside as a snack.
Exactly. And in fact, I'm going to take that out. Thanks, Vinod. So Vinod's fluffing the rice, and this is now very well caramelized with the aromatics, poppy seeds. And let me give you a good look at this. You can kind of see it. Or can you see that?
Oh, great, yeah.
Okay.
I find that one frustration I have with cooking with my Dutch oven is that despite the fact that I will be so consistent with my stirring, there's always a portion that burns and sticks to the bottom of my pot. And then it takes me like 3 days to boil baking soda and wash it all out.
Yeah.
Like the hazard. As a chef, do you have any special tips on how to avoid that aside from stirring like a maniac?
Stir like a maniac, and you know what? I'll be honest. We use and abuse our Le Creuset. I mean, true story. These marks are from when we once put our biryani pot on hot coals. We just went to
It'll take a lot of wear and tear is what you're saying if you have a good
yes, but on the inside, that's what matters. And so to your point, scrubbing, constant stirring as well. And then also baking soda, as you just mentioned as well.
Right.
Okay, so this is the part where it is ready for the chicken. Because I already put my spices. I can smell that this is really cooked down.
Okay.
That's the sign. And once I feel like the spices have really cooked down and there's a little still oil separation, I do add all my chicken.
And now this is just raw chopped. Is it chicken thigh or chicken breast?
Yes, so this is chicken thigh, and I cut these into smaller pieces. Now, let me just show you like the size that I like to cut. It's more like almost like a full size, but I just make sure that single layer so it's not too thick in some areas.
So it's not bite-sized pieces?
No, so it's more like a 3-bite piece.
Okay.
In the restaurant, we did use boneless chicken thigh, mostly for easy eating. But I would say in the traditional Kerala biryani, bone-in with skin would be the traditional way to go.
Got it.
We just found that with bone, obviously there's more flavor, and I love dark meat, and so to me it was a given that we needed to use chicken thigh in the restaurant.
So the chicken has been cooking down for a little bit. And is the goal to get the chicken fully cooked in the pot or just par cooked?
Fully cooked. And so when I put the chicken in, I did add a little bit of salt. And once it gets close to par cooked, that's when we will add the cilantro, mint, and then the lime juice. And that will help. So we can cook it all together at the very end. So I did add the poppy seeds, chicken, and I am going to add a little bit more salt right now.
And for those of you watching at home, you might think, oh, wow, that's a lot of salt. Is it going to taste salty? The truth is that if you're using the right amount of salt, salt brings out flavor in other foods. It enhances the taste of chicken, the taste of spices. If food tastes salty, you've put too much. But if food tastes flavorful, that is the right amount of salt to be using.
Exactly.
That was something I learned last year, and I was very proud.
That's right. Was this when you were staging at your restaurant?
No, I don't know. I think it was a combination of reading bits and pieces of salt, fat, acid, and heat, and then like experimenting with different types of salt in my own kitchen and realizing like, oh, I don't need table salt. Table salt just makes things salty. What I really need to do is season my food with salt while I'm cooking.
Yes.
So is the point of cooking the chicken to cook it all the way through, or are we just par cooking it and then putting it in the oven?
Great question. We are going to par cook this to a degree, so that prepare it for yogurts, the mint, cilantro, and lime, and then continue cooking the chicken all together.
I see. So we're actively making a marinade within the pot while we're heating.
Exactly.
Would you ever recommend pre-marinating the chicken with yogurt and the cilantro and lime and mint?
I would. In fact, that is how we do it at the restaurant when we do like 40, 50 pounds of chicken for like a day or two. But for at home, it is okay to do it all through in one pot.
Does the yogurt curdle when you put it in such high heat?
It does if it's cold, but good point. I did leave this out at room temp.
Okay, so we're using room temp yogurt. I didn't realize that if you bring it to room temp, it would cook.
Yes. So I guess those would be the two big differences, like from like making this at home versus for us at the restaurant, bone-in versus boneless, skinless, and then also the pre-marinade versus doing it actively.
Now, is this, has this recipe been on the restaurant's menu since day one?
Yes and no. So it's interesting. This was our very first special.
Okay.
And it was also our most popular special for that matter.
I'm not surprised.
So we kept bringing it back anytime we possibly could.
And is this recipe native to Chef Vinod's family specifically, or is this one that you came up with together?
So this is very close to Vinod's mom's recipe. And we also use a book that I referenced when I first learned how to layer and create biryani as well. Oh shoot, sorry. I just want to show you the degree to the amount of the mint and the cilantro cooking together.
Got it. And while that continues to cook, tell us a little bit about Thattu and what is happening, you know, given everything with coronavirus in Chicago at the moment.
Right, so we did close down our place back in March when the mandate first came in. We did close down prematurely. We're very sad. We took care of our team, obviously, made sure that did our best to help support them. And since May, we started doing pop-ups. We started first in Bridgeport down in Kimsky, where I first started in the industry. We did about 3 or 4 pop-ups there. And really that's allowed us to keep the Kerala food alive, keep Thattu going. So together with our team, we went out to Bridgeport, also more recently in Logan Square to Supercata International, where we held 3 pop-ups there as well.
And I hear that your most recent pop-up is sold out.
Yes, in fact,
Fantastic.
it was crazy. We just did our last one earlier this week on Monday, and took us a few days to recover, and it was our biggest selling and our most popular pop-up of them all.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say.
No, I was also going to add to that. I know that we closed down with the coronavirus, but at the same time, our contract with the food hall was also running out in May. So our plan was to leave and get our own place. But what's really happened is we left, and now we are doing pop-ups, and we are waiting and seeing to see what we want to do, where the restaurant industry is going before we make a decision on whether to have our own place, and if we do, what kind of place it's going to be, whether it's going to be a sit down or more of an event kind of or catering. So that's still up in the air on how we want to proceed.
That makes sense.
So we're slowly exploring options. We're about to go on a short break for ourselves because we've been planning this for a little over 2 years, and so part of that we do want to figure out what does this new framework look like. I know everyone's figuring this out right now, but we're just trying to stay flexible and keeping all options open in terms of format.
Right. I think, were you ever considering, event and catering prior to coronavirus?
Yeah, we've had so many requests for weddings and things, and we've never had the capacity to do that. And we do want to do events, and we've done a couple of events before, but we do want to do more of that. And the big question is whether we want to have a sit-down restaurant versus something that's more of a, what do you say? It's
more of a takeout counter service.
Counter service.
Counter service.
Because previously we were in a food hall, it was counter service. People could eat in or take it to go. But we still want that casual accessibility to everybody. That was one aspect that we really liked, and truly being able to see everybody, talk to everybody that comes in. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why we don't want to do just takeout.
Yeah.
Or, I know ghost kitchens are a thing, but it's not where we're.
Yeah, we kind of ruled that out because there's no personal interaction in a ghost kitchen. So we do want to interact with people, understand what they like. So we definitely want to have more of personal touch.
Right. It's so hard to even predict, but I can't imagine a world where, future restaurants are not going to take into consideration that something like this could happen again, maybe if not in the next, year or two. Well, first of all, we don't even know what the next year or two looks like, but even if there's a vaccine, certain scientists are saying that it might take, another year for people to just be inoculated and be safe. And so it's not like anything can be a quick fix at the moment. So the question is, what does the future of restaurants look like from a design perspective, from, a business plan perspective, interaction with guests, to so many chefs is so important, especially in these small type of fast casual, or not even fast casual, but just casual restaurants, right, where it's not just a question of, serving fine dining tweezer food, but more of interacting with guests and sharing culture to culture.
Yeah, a big part of why we did this was to kind of open people up to Kerala cuisine, which is really not, other than the Kerala community, it's not really well known in the US.
Yeah.
It's not well known in the US, but frankly, even living in India, you kind of think of cuisine as North Indian and South Indian. You don't really think of it as Maharashtra food, Kerala food, So, it's very interesting, even for someone who is familiar with the culture, to suddenly zero in on a specific area and think, wow, yes, the terrain is so different that an entire cuisine can be built around it. Mm-hmm. So what's going on in that pot, Margaret?
So it's getting close. I would say the gravy is starting to form, getting a little thicker from the spices. I can tell that the chicken's getting close to being well cooked. Mm-hmm. You can see, well, you can't see the yogurt anymore, but the yogurt has cooked down. And
it's helping to make that gravy.
Exactly. So it's breaking down for that gravy. And you can kind of see it's a little on the thick side. I haven't tasted it yet because I obviously want to let the chicken cook some more. But what I did is I did juice one lime, and I like adding that citrus. This is part of the traditional recipe, but also just give it a little brightness and to give it a little extra punch to it as well.
Now, I know that traditionally speaking, or maybe this isn't traditionally and it's just my tradition, but whenever I'm eating biryani at home or in a restaurant, I like to have my sides of limbu, which is the lime, and then raita, which is, yogurt mixed with some spices and some cucumber, just sort of to cut the spiciness of the
Yes.
dish itself. Is yogurt and lime always used in this traditional recipe? And then do you also have it as a side later on?
Yogurt and lime in the gravy, yes, that is pretty standard. And then the second part, I did already make some raita. So raita and then some sort of spicy pickle. For the pickle, this is a ginger tamarind pickle, inji puli. That's my favorite pickle of the moment, but we do rotate.
Yeah, but you're right. Traditionally, it is a lime pickle that's always served with biryani. And in Kerala, there's a third component that we don't use, we have not been doing because that requires a lot of coconut. There's a really tart coconut chutney that's always served with biryani in Kerala.
Oh yes, the coconut chutney. Now, do you use is it the white coconut chutney that goes with dosa and has those little black seeds in them?
Yes, it is a white coconut chutney. So it has got a little bit tamarind also in it. So it's going to be a little sour. Tamarind or green mango.
What are those? It's sort of like a black seed. It's a little chewy. What are those that are usually found in that white coconut chutney?
Black seed.
That's
Oh, the ones that we use in the masala biscuits?
yeah. No. The black seed that you put in the. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name right now. It's the mustard seeds, black mustard.
Oh, okay, yes. That's why it's so tasty. So for viewers at home, if you're not very familiar with Indian food, there are many different types of chutney that we have sort of as like condiments on our everyday tables. We like to have mango chutney, which is pickled mangoes and mango skin that is very sweet. But then there's also the sour mango chutney that is a little bit more sour and has a little bit more heat and punch. And then coconut being such a big part of Indian cuisine, there's the green coconut chutney, which, every household has a different recipe, but the traditional, like basic speaking, is coconut, cilantro, mint, and then if you're feeling adventurous and you're not allergic, you can have some type of nut in there just to give it a little more texture. And what Vinod and I are talking about is a white coconut chutney, which is less, obviously no cilantro, and is a little bit sweeter. And like Vinod said, there's that hint of tamarind underneath. And then of course that nice pop in your teeth of the mustard seeds, which is really great.
And curry leaves.
And curry leaves, right. And I mean, that chutney, the white coconut chutney, is used as a side for many dishes, including a very popular breakfast option, which is dosa.
Yes.
Which is like a huge, thin, beautiful crepe. And people will stuff it with like masala potatoes. And for me personally, I just take a plain dosa and I stuff it with that white chutney because I love it so much. So just checking, there's no rice in the pot at the moment, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So, as we're talking about rice, we found that our rice did get a little overcooked. But one trick is to put it on a sheet tray, let it dry out. And it was slightly overcooked, but just by putting it on here, it's already dried up a lot.
Okay, perfect. That's a lot of rice.
So yes, this is 2 pounds. It was like a 1-to-1 ratio, like 2 pounds of chicken, 2 pounds of rice.
Okay. And how many servings approximately will this make?
2 very hungry people. No.
A pound a piece.
Realistically, 8 people.
8 people.
So
Okay.
this recipe would be good for 8.
So your next dinner party, or if you're one of those Sunday meal prep people, you can just make a chicken biryani and eat it for lunch for the rest of the week.
Exactly.
Delicious.
So the chicken is pretty well done because I cut it into smaller pieces. Naturally, if you're going to be using like the bone and chicken, it'd be like definitely temp it, make sure it's well cooked, This is the part where I'm going to start just ladling out what I don't need for that first layer. So we're gonna start that whole layering process.
Okay. So are we doing the layering on the stove or are we moving back to the counter?
So what I can do is I'm going to layer this. I think it would be better on the counter. Yeah. So Vinod will reset that. But just so you know, what I will do is take out, well, I'll let Vinod move this over. Let's keep layering this. I like it's all hot. Makes for the layering part much easier. Okay. Shimmy this over. Okay. So on the bottom layer, I'm just going to leave enough liquid so that it's covered on the bottom so that when we put it in the oven at 375, it doesn't burn. Okay. So this is about like the amount of chicken. Okay. Sorry, I don't know if you can see the inside layer. Just so you don't burn anything on the bottom. All of the rice that gets to that layer will get nice and soaked. Okay. Yeah,
okay, so essentially what you've done is you had a big batch of chicken with the gravy in there and you ladled, I would say 2/3 of it out of the pot into a separate bowl for keeping at the moment. And now what you're doing is you're taking the cooked, dry, slightly room temperature rice and you're just layering it into the pot.
Right. And I'm just, we'll do like 2 layers. One more layer of chicken and one more layer of rice. And then we'll see how much gravy.
Is there a reason why you start with gravy on the bottom and then rice? Because my brain would think you start with the rice, then the gravy, then rice, then gravy.
So if your rice is on the bottom, and if you wanted to get that nice tadik and like really like crunchy on the bottom, that would be the case. I prefer to use the gravy on the bottom so that the rice does not get burnt.
Okay, so it's a good way to keep the moisture locked in.
Yes. Now, bonus, if you have it on the rice, you can add a little bit of rose water. It's not required, but we do have some. I'm just gonna put just a little bit. Very little. Okay. And then do a second layer of chicken. That's going to go on the top for garnish. So layers of chicken, rice, chicken, one more rice, and we'll finish it with the garnish.
Okay, so you're going to put the garnish before it goes in the oven.
Exactly.
This looks so good. I'm so jealous I can't eat it.
Come over. Okay. It's funny, we're cooking 2 pounds of chicken at first. We're like, it doesn't look like much in a 6-quart pot. But once layered twice and then some, it fits snugly and perfectly in a 6-quart.
Right. Actually, that's great that you mentioned. I should have asked what size Dutch oven.
It's included.
But now people that want to make this at home that don't have access to a Dutch oven, feel free to do the cooking in a regular pot, cook your rice, cook your meat. And then what I would suggest is you just get one of those casserole dishes or one of those baking pans and just, you know, do it in little batches.
Yes.
Is it possible to cook this and then freeze it for baking later?
You could do that. I would just recommend that you make sure you well cook your chicken.
Right.
The only thing I would say, the pot should be wider than tall.
Okay. Yeah, so one of those like baking casserole dishes would actually be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, typically in Kerala, they are made in huge rondos, which are like very, very wide, and they put it over a fire.
Right. I was actually going to ask, so now most biryanis, especially in America for effect, you know, they come out with the dough on top that the diner can sort of pierce and all the steam comes out and it's dum cooked, which means cooked in its own steam. Is that how it's done traditionally in Kerala or no?
I have not seen that.
Can you repeat that again? I didn't understand that.
So in a lot of Indian restaurants, before the biryani gets baked, there's a layer of dough that is put over the pot.
No, that's a completely different style of biryani.
That's what I thought.
They don't do that. So what they do is they have a really wide, and it's only about as tall as this pot, but it'll be really wide. I mean, I'm talking about like 3-4 feet wide.
Right. Oh, wow.
Because a lot of times they're made for big batches. At home, it'll be more like this, but it's never taller than this. And you cover it and you either put it in the oven or you put it over coals and put coals on top.
Perfect.
So you fire it from all sides. That's the best way to do it.
Okay. And just as a reminder for viewers at home, the oven has been preheated to 375.
Yes.
Now, I noticed there's no potatoes in this biryani.
Nope.
Okay.
I've never seen biryani with potatoes in Kerala.
There are some.
Not in Kerala.
No, do some have the egg though?
No, so you have dum biryani, and there's two different types of biryani. So now we're getting into like real biryani. So apparently there's kachi biryani and dum biryani. There's two types of biryani.
Right.
And what I think you're talking about is the dum biryani.
Yes.
And that's made in a different way. And this is kachi biryani.
Okay.
And it's kachi.
Kachi. Okay. Because I know kacha means raw. So hachi. Okay. So this is ready to go in the oven. That looks beautiful. And we've got the toppings of crispy onions. And what else with it?
So caramelized onions with raisins and cashews.
Cashews. Okay.
And that I definitely did cook in ghee.
Okay.
And taking my before and after picture, if you want it. Okay. So lid and then 375. And everything is cooked, but I do like it to all cook together. So I bake it for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay. 3. Okay, so it's time to unveil.
Yes, it's that time.
So it was about 20 minutes in the oven.
Okay.
I'm so excited. I'm like craning.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That looks amazing.
It's done.
Woohoo. So that's just lunch for you too, right?
Oh, yeah.
We might share with our neighbors today.
Lunch and dinner.
Awesome.
Well, thank you both so much for doing this demo for Unplated. We so love working with you. And just as a quick reminder, do you have anything to share with our readers for an upcoming pop-up or any other situation like that?
I would say just check out our website at thattuchicago.com, and if you want to hear about our future events, subscribe to our newsletter there.
It won't be before mid-November because we are going on a trip.
Yes.
That is very good. Chefs, take note. You should go on vacation because you're real humans. And if you don't, you will break.
Yes, it's that time.
Okay, well,
Thank you, Sabrina.
thank you so much. Thank you for all your hard work. Good luck for everything with the future of Thattu. And for those who want to follow along, it's www.thattuchicago.com, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.